What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am going to be showing you how I made $10,000 today trading on NQ futures. Here's proof. I'm going to pop it up right here. Okay. And again, this was a very long trade. So I'm just going to be giving you my thoughts, telling you how I was emotionally, etc., etc., etc. You know the whole deal. And I'm going to be explaining why it was such a good setup. As always, don't forget to use code Dodgy. Apex 80% off sale. I did take these on Apex accounts. That's how I made so much money, because I took them on 20, and that's the only firm that you can take 20 accounts on. So I definitely suggest buying them. But without further ado, let's just get right into it. I don't want to waste your guys' time. Here's the trade that I took today, and I heard if you don't like the video, your pillow will be warm tonight, so make sure to leave a like. Anyways, let's just get right into it. So going into my live stream this morning, right? I already showed you proof from executions and obviously the P&L. Going into my live stream this morning, I said this. I said the dream scenario going into this morning would be this, okay? And I'm not going to go back in the live stream and, show you the recording, because it's going to take too much time. And honestly, it doesn't matter if my prediction was right or wrong. What matters is the execution, and I already showed you I made the money. But how do I predict something like this? Well, here's the thing. I don't know if this is going to happen. I'm just laying out a certain scenario in my head that I've seen 10,000 times before. I've been trading this market too long to, not see something like this before, where we have a giant pump. It's off of some sort of news event, which I'm pretty sure this is off like the deal that China made. And then we come back into that fair value gap. We form a very high probability, very obvious low. I can see away from my screen back here. And what happens is, this is technically a lot of money long in this. And I consider this dumb money. And what happens is, we're going to take out the dumb money that thought they were smart. And then we're going to induce them. Okay, it's called inducing longs. And we're going to induce them and then go back up again. Right? And that's what really generates a lot of liquidity. So in my head, I kind of had that laid out. And, the other thing that I saw this morning was, we had a lot of trendline liquidity here. See all this? See how all these lows we're getting is just stacked here, stacked, right? Stacked. These are all stacked up. So I figured we'd run down before going higher, because we're typically not going to leave a giant trend line like this below. Okay. So first step in determining, okay, what's my dream scenario? What do I want to see? I want to see us dump here. We have trend line liquidity. So I did actually take these shorts, and then I also took a little, a 5-minute inversion short. So we have this 5-minute fair value gap, and when I saw this absolutely death candle through it like this, I'm like, okay, the second we close below that, I called, okay, we're going to go to London low, and we're likely going to, I was looking for move higher. Now, when we hit this low, all right, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I was actually leaning a little more bearish, because we had this new week opening gap under here. Okay, but I'm going to tell you guys a little secret. Even if you think, okay, we might be a little bearish, you have to see short setups. When we came down here, we never got a single short setup. Okay, we never got a single short setup. The only potential short we got was this 2-minute right here. This was all right. Okay, but you would have taken most EP here. And other than that, we never really got a short setup after that. Like, there's no inversion that broke, right? If we came down and maybe broke this inversion right here, then I would have been like, okay, this is a short entry. But we never did. So a little secret is, even though you might be leaning a little bearish here, don't actually be bearish until you see a lot of confirmation. And we had a potential confirmation here if this were to break, but it never did. And, I was kind of talking a lot of time on my Discord. I'm like, guys, we just took out this low. We just manipulated. We just hit the 50%. And even though I was leaning bearish before, I saw this reaction, and I'm like, guys, this is lining up with the scenario I wanted earlier. This was a very high volume candle. There's a ton of order flow coming through this candle. You can just tell by the way it printed. And the second we inverse this 5-minute, I'm like, you know what? I had to get in. So I got in. And keep in mind, I got in an options account here and some Apex accounts. All right, I was already green on another account from here before. Okay, but I got in this one. I couldn't pass it up. It was too V-shaped. And before you say, well, what about this bearish fair value gap here? Honestly, because of liquidity and because of my screen time in the market, when I see a manipulation leg under the 50% line after a giant pump from this morning, this typically will not matter. This is enough info for me that tells me, okay, we're going to take out the exaggerated highs and then probably go to the higher day after. So the second I saw this, I entered. Now, this was a very, very tough play to hold through. Look at this. The whole time I was holding this play, dude, I turned off my monitor. I literally was in the position. I turned off my monitor. I set a stop loss like probably below. I think I had a stop loss here because I'm thinking, well, if we were bearish, we'd probably death candle through this, right? If we'd probably get a very big red candle through that. And the fact that we weren't was definitely a good sign, but the fact we weren't getting any bullish candles wasn't a great sign either. So it was just too choppy. It was too hard to tell. And, you know, I'm sitting in this trade. I'm like, dude, what is this doing the whole time? But the thing is, I turned off my monitor, so I actually couldn't affect or edit my buttons or click my buttons. So I literally cannot physically click my buttons because I turned off my monitor. So if you're really struggling to hold through chop like this, that could definitely be a solution, and that's what I did. Anyways, a balanced price range is one of the strongest PD arrays in the market. And when we hit this balanced price range here, look how well we were holding it. So that was definitely a good sign. And I was talking about my live stream. We had a 2-minute here. And I'm like, all right, guys, I'm already in the position. If we break this 2-minute, it's definitely a very good sign to go higher. And we broke this 2-minute. I'm like, finally, let's go. And, you know, I kind of talk about this idea that every single time we were forming these lower highs here, they never, ever broke. And finally, when this one ended up breaking, I said this should be a domino effect because we put in lower highs all morning. Here. They never broke. Finally, this one breaks. That's the sign to like, okay, now we should go up. And it was really hard to sit through this chop. This is all I can consider this time distortion. But like I said, turning off the monitor helps. Just putting a stop in place helps. You know, that all helps. And, you know, being in a trade like this is going to take years of screen time. So many people DM me like, yo, I got out. We were too choppy, whatever. But I've seen this play out. I'd rather get stopped out on a position than let the position play out without me. I'm going to say that again. I'd rather lose money and get stopped out of a position than watch a play out without me. Okay, write that down. I think this is very important to understand because I would be happy with taking a loss with a 5-minute V-shaped recovery with a manipulation leg under the 50% because this won't lose much. And if it does, so what? I know it's going to win the next time probably. And then the last kind of part of this trade was we had a 5-minute up here. And I was like, yes, this should break. It didn't break easily, but finally it broke again here. I'm like, okay, this should definitely start pumping. And we held a support. I was right. It started pumping. And it's just kind of using these PD rays on the left to be like, okay, when this breaks, this is going to be used as support and we'll go up to here. Now, I took most of my TP off here, which was fine with me. Now, do I still think we likely go higher to this high? Yes. Will I think it take all afternoon? Maybe because, again, we have CPI tomorrow, so I don't really like predicting before CPI. But you can kind of see like the thought process and, you know, what I'm thinking. Typically, no matter if this is a pattern trade or a subjective trade, a signature in price like this with a manipulation leg under the 50% leg of the morning move, which would be right here, is typically not going to fail very often. So I saw that, took advantage of it, and, you know, made a light 10K. Okay, now I talked about this in Instagram, but if you're in this position with a $200 risk or a $5,000 risk, it's all the same thing at the end of the day. You can't get emotional just because you see more money on the screen. I typically do not share my P&L, and I probably will. I really hate sharing my P&L. I was just so bored today. I was like, you know, I'll just show my P&L. You know, just whatever. But I'm probably not going to show my P&L more often. Okay, this is one of those rare times where I'm fine with showing it because we sat through a chop. This is a hard move to take. I know a lot of people want to believe that I sat through this. But again, it doesn't matter. I don't really have anything to prove to you guys. If you just go on the chart yourself and you literally trade what I'm telling you to trade, not financial advice, okay, you'll likely make money. So, you know, the checklist rundown today was, you know, we pumped up at open. What's going to cause more liquidity to be built? Well, dumping it open, because if everyone thinks we're bullish because of China deals, we're likely to do the opposite first and then go up. So that was kind of my first idea. The second idea is look for a retracement to a 50% because I like doing that after a big move. The third idea is looking for that very obvious inversion, which we had here. And the fourth idea is looking for a nice key manipulation leg, which we don't need every time, but it's definitely nice to see this, you know, create a low, tap this with my fair value gap, and then manipulate again, and then get like a nice candle back up. So that's pretty much a recap of how I made $10,000 today. this is not easy. This is taking years of screen time. And again, my strategy is very high win rate if you know how to use it correctly with the right bias. And as always, don't forget to use code Dodgy. There's an 80% off discount sale on Apex right now. I suggest using it if you want to build up to 20 accounts. But that is going to be it for today. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.